Alright, back from break, time for another game. Playing Nin right now, just because I want to get reacquainted with it. I haven't played it in a month or more. Haven't been using it hardly at all. And seeing as how it's my best deck, I want to stay sharp with it. So, playing against Daspur. I've played this guy before. My draw is so-so, definitely below average, but it does have Treachery, which I quite like against this commander. I have no idea what he's really using here. Merchant Scroll, that's pretty nice. Hopefully he doesn't get a good turn 2 play. Cycles Barren Moor, which I'm quite happy to see. Cycles Forgotten Cave. Plays a Forest. I'm hoping to draw Fetch Land or something, but we're going to just tutor for Mana Drain. Mana Drain Karn is a pretty good combo, I hear. Unfortunately, I have to telegraph the Mana Drain so he can play around it if he's savvy. A lot of people tend to just ignore it. I see 3 mana here, and I expect him to play like Kodama's Reach or something bad for me, but he plays Birthing Pod. Kind of a pain, but not the end of the world. I draw a Lotus. Still looking for another land. So he plays 2 here, and he casts Green Sun Zenith for 1. So with Birthing Pod in play, he can start a whole tutoring chain here. And I really don't want to Mana Drain this. It's like so crappy. I can't really... I mean, I guess I can put out Lotus, but I don't really have... Yeah, I guess Lotus into Pact. I don't know. I was tempted to Mana Drain. I certainly thought about it. But ultimately I decided that since there's no guarantee I'm going to be drawing a land next turn, I can probably just bounce the Birthing Pod and then Mana Drain that when he replays it, presuming that he will. So I riff that instead. And I'm holding on. Even though Rift's obviously a more powerful card than Into the Royal, I want to try to use it to draw cards. So he gets Deathrite Shaman. I'm totally fine with that. Mana Leak. Oy. Well, at least it counters something that, cheap, or relatively cheap, that I wouldn't want to otherwise Mana Drain. Hang on a minute here. My son is banging on the door. Okay, so my hope here is he just plays the Birthing Pod without playing any more lands, and I can just drain it into Lotus, and then I'm looking really good. He plays a Bloodghast, which is not worth mana draining, certainly not with a Birthing Pod in his hand. Just have to let that go, and he plays another land and says done. So I top deck Chalice, and I'm going to play that and hope to protect. So Pod costs 1, 2, 3. But that's really okay, because if he does tap out to cast Birthing Pod, I can just well, I can Into the Royal it, I guess. And then Mana Drain it again, which is what I'm fully prepared to do here. Hits for 2. This is just a really awkward, uncomfortable game because of the so there he goes, he casts it. So first things first, I'm just gonna Mana Leak it, hoping that he won't sack his land. So I see him tap mana, and I figure, okay, well he's gonna sack his Barren Moor, but he doesn't. He lets Birthing Pod go, which is actually quite miraculous for me, and he casts Demonic Tutor. Bribery. Still not drawing any islands, or anything for that matter. I don't think I've drawn a land this whole game. I just had those 3 islands in my opening draw. So this game has really been a struggle because of this. But at least I've still got some defense in the form of Mana Drain. And he's not really doing anything particularly aggressive. Life from the Loam. So now I understand why he didn't want to sack his Barren Moor. He wanted to be able to recur it with Life from the Loam. So, end of turn, I decide I am going to Into the Royal to draw a card. And looking at his mana, right now I only see a single black source. So, ultimately I decide I'd like to Into the Royal, the Bloodghast, and force him to do Deathrite Shaman shenanigans in order to recast it. So we're going to do that, and he makes my play look kind of bad with the Lightning Bolt. But whatever, it's okay, I guess. Still no islands. So frustrating. So he's loaming again, getting that bog back. Cycling it. Playing a second black mana. Getting his blood gas back. Alright. Well, end of turn. Or on my turn I top deck Fire Ice. Wonderful. Alright, we're just going to tap his land here. So he can't do a little strip mine thing if I do draw a Volcanic Island or something. And I draw frickin' Vandal Blast. Ugh. That's great. No red or anything. So that's an obvious discard. So I'm feeling really helpless here, given the fact that he's now loaming multiple cards a turn. He's building up mana to fuel this Kessig Wolf run. He's got Loam, Tectonic Edge. I'm not suffering a ton of damage, but this thing can start pounding me pretty quickly for 4 or 5 a turn, along with the blood gas, and I start taking 6 or 7. It's going to be over quickly if I don't draw land. Mash down to 33. It's kind of funny, actually. I'm ahead of him on life, even though he's been attacking me the whole game, mainly because of his City of Brass. So yeah, mana total is really unfair right now. He dredges. I see some more stuff. Alright, it's do or die time. We need a land. We need a land bad. Booyah. Command Tower. Absolutely perfect. Although I think I probably would have preferred a fetch land, ultimately. But that's very good. So, what's the play here? We've got a bunch of choices. We could Bribery. We could Treachery and steal a bird, which isn't bad. The problem with the Treachery plan is that if I Treachery the bird and he's not dumb, he can destroy my command tower in response, which means I untap into 4 land and I can't play the Lotus. So unfortunately the Treachery plan is out right now, as much as I'd like to do it. And so at that point, I think we're just going to play the Lotus raw and really, really, really hope he doesn't have something like a Krosan Grip, which would be terrible, or any type of Naturalize or anything that would destroy it. Kind of banking the whole game on the Lotus, and I see him tap mana at the end of the turn, but he's just dealing damage to me, which I don't care about. Fauna Shaman. Attacking for 2. Alright, come on, deck. Step up. So he plays something else. He's played very well around the mana drain. I gotta commend him on that. He hasn't given me anything worth more than 2 mana to mana drain. So he's been very patient. Of course, the patience buys me a lot of extra time. I mean, that's kind of the thing that's so insane about this card. It's just that it's like Aikido. That martial art where you use your opponent's momentum against them. That's how I've always talked about it in the past. Obviously, I've been playing with this card for like, God, almost 20 years now. But the fact that its mere presence totally changes and warps the way your opponent has to play makes it so much more powerful than just a mere counter. Power Stone. Okay, that's not very useful. So, we're just going to tap out here on Treachery and hope he doesn't see the Tectonic Edge thing, so I get some extra mana, and he doesn't. Alright, and we're going to Bribery. So now we get to take a look at his deck. It's kind of a weird deck, actually. I guess it's just lots of mana ramp. Lots of mana ramp and an interesting mixture of creatures. There's definitely some good ones in here. Wormcoil Engine, quite appealing, as it locks down all of his offense. There's this guy, which is kind of garbage. Woodfall Primus is good, but I would only be killing 1 land, and if he kills the Primus, he gets it back, which is bad. There's a Shoal Dread. What I was actually really hoping for was I was hoping for a Runescarred Demon. So I could put out Runescarred Demon. I've got very robust blocker, and it allows me to Demonic Tutor to get some more mana sources or something like that. But anyway, what would you take? Quite a few good choices here. And looking at I have nothing to Eternal Witness. Ultimately, I decide that the card is Massacre Worm, given the fact that he has 2 mana sources in play. I need to pause again. Massacre Worm definitely seems like the best card here, given the fact that it kills, well, 3 of his creatures, deals 6 to him. It actually puts him on a real clock and cuts off 2 mana sources as well. But I'm really, really quite concerned right now with the Kessig Wolf run and his ability to pump his guys up and start bashing me for 7, 8, or 9 a turn. So Massacre Worm is what we're going for. Crush. Now it makes me feel a little worse, actually, about Treachery on Fauna Shaman. But I didn't know he had Massacre Worm, and of course I had to play Treachery first, because it's free. So now he decides to kill my land, which is odd. But still sitting on mana drain. So he casts Life from the Loam, and now he's got Tectonic Edge in the graveyard, along with the Lava Claw Reaches. So I actually thought for a few seconds about mana draining here, given the fact that I can follow up with a Karn, even off the 2 mana, and if I draw a land I can Spell Crumple, and I've always got Pact in play. But I realize I kind of do want him screwing around with Life from the Loam, because I'm going to be bashing him for 8 a turn, so I don't really care that much. He casts Animate Dead on Woodfall Primus, which we definitely care about, and I feel very good that I didn't mana drain the life. Puts out a Bloodghast. Grim Monolith, so I've got 2 floating. I sort of think about what I'm going to do for the mana here. I just decided I'm going to play Worn Power Stone and sit on my counters, because that way I can Karn and play multiple counters next turn. He's already down to 13 too, and this thing doesn't block. And if he does just do nothing, sitting back, planning on using Lava Claw Reaches to block and kill the Massacre Worm, then I can just play Karn and totally wreck his plans. So he's tapping a bunch. He plays Broodmate Dragon. We are definitely crumpling that. He has Shriek Maw, which kills the Fauna Shaman, but of course just deals him 2 anyway because of Massacre Worm, so it doesn't really make it that much of a difference. Draw Steam Vents. Bash for 6, he's down to just 4. We're going to play Karn. He cycles in response. Karn comes down, I eat a card out of his hand, so this is obviously done in an attempt to force him to be aggressive against it. And if he's aggressive against it, then he can't block the Massacre Worm. So I play Nin as well, given that our last counter in hand is free. I still have enough to untap the Grim Monolith too, which is great. And on his turn, he's tapping a whole bunch of mana, all the way to 9. Tooth and Nail, last card in my hand, countered. Game over on turn 13. Quite a good game, actually, I think. I think I played it quite well, given the circumstances of how mana screwed I was early on, and all the stuff that he had going on. I think I had to make a lot of just very careful, calculated decisions to basically win this game with exactly 0 cards in hand, and stopping the last fatal threat. So pretty proud of this one. Hopefully there will be more to come. See you soon.